Well, welcome everybody to our online program on addiction recovery from the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, BC. And we've been looking at three popular books on addiction. David Sheff's Clean, which basically says addiction is a brain disease, more popular ways of looking at it. Carl Hart's argument that addiction is a choice. And Johann Hari's Chasing the Scream, making the argument that addiction's not so much about the effects of the drug on the individual as it is the result of how society looks at the addict through this idea of prohibition or the war on drugs and a few other things. So three very different views of addiction and pretty much seem to be in conflict with each other. So how do we make sense of this? How can we bring them together? And just to let you know, the idea of integration is very big in psychology now. We have all of these different theories, and somehow we have to make sense of them all. We have to find some kind of framework through which we can understand all the different research, because each of these theories has a lot of research to support it. Well, one of the ways that we can make sense of it is through meaning. And Dr. Wong, for example, again, Paul Wong, who's a lot of whose research underpins our program at Sunshine Coast, he's quite convinced that this idea of meaning is a way that we can actually bring together different theories and different practices in the field. So the starting point again, old hat for those of you who've been watching the online program, but it's Viktor Frankl's argument that addiction is a response to living a life that lacks personal meaning. And this definition of an addiction can include the brain science. So meaning would completely agree that drugs have an effect on the brain, but what they would disagree with is that we could reduce it to a brain disease. Dr. Hart's argument that addicts make choices, and again, that meaning therapy would be, of course they make choices. That's all human beings do that. So we can account for Dr. Hart's work as well. And Johann Hari's work saying that really it's a social issue, that it's society that's really created this thing that we call addiction today. And a huge part of meaning theory is a recognition that all of us have to live in a world that society creates, that our culture has created. And so meaning, again, they can accept Johann Hari's work, but the difference is it's not going to reduce it down just to the influence of society. So these three ideas, these three popular ideas in these books, we can make sense of them through meaning. And then we can include in meaning this other big issue is, what about the individual addict? And what does the individual addict believe? What is their experience of being intoxicated? What is their experience of recovery? We can incorporate all of that. And that's one of the things about Dr. Hart's work that seems to be lacking. Dr. Hart is more about doing things to the addict, through this positive reinforcement, giving them $20 or her $20, or punishing the addict, threatening to take away their livelihood, something like that. But meaning can actually incorporate like the individual and the personal experience of the addict. Anyway, as far as I'm aware, that's actually the only idea that's ever been proposed in the research field for addiction. People like to talk about like the disease model, and it's not just one model, by the way, it's many models. Or they like to talk about Johann Hari's work or Bruce Alexander's Rat Park, and or they like to talk about addiction as a rational choice. But no one has actually taken all of those ideas and combined them into a logical whole. So this is one of the reasons why we think maybe this idea of meaning, Viktor Frankl's concept that addiction is a response to a lack of a meaningful life, may in fact hold great promise for the future. Anyway, that's it for this online program, and we'll be back next time with a new topic.